Good morning. This is Ron Janish, and this video is about the new Andrews pitchfork indicator. Now, several years ago, Dr. Alan Andrews became known for what is called the pitchfork and is simply the median line. You take 3 points, the low, high, low. You find the midpoint of these, of the last 2 points, and then draw a line through the middle. And if you happen to draw the parallel lines, well, that's considered the Andrews pitchfork. Simple as that. And in many cases, it can give you a really good idea as to how far a correction move is going to go. And Andrews developed some rules about it. Now, if you go through the expanded course material, which is effectively about 800 or so pages of the original works of Andrews, and there's plenty of videos that I posted on that, you'll find a absolutely incredible amount of information on all different kinds of techniques that are related to this. And so what we did was we did some research and came up with what I call the new Andrews pitchfork indicator. And let's see if we can. Good morning. Whoop. See, just do this. And eventually we got to the point where we wanted to test it out and test it out historically with a computer so that there was absolutely no bias. And we did that, and we found what the results were, and then we tweaked and tuned and added a few little bells and whistles to give us what we call the NAPI Plus. This is new Andrews pitchfork indicator, and plus we added one or two little things in order to have really nice entry and exit signals that are based on probability. So we'll take a quick look and see how this works. So if what this particular thing is set to do is to look at the NASDAQ and the S&P combined and simply say, okay, if I trade the NASDAQ and the S&P combined over this historical period, what might have happened? Well, let's take a look. This shouldn't take very long, I hope. I'll just wait a second here. And one of the nice things about running a test like this is that there's a whole bunch of other what are called objective factors that are generated by this particular software. And this software, okay, so here we go. We started in January of 2013, and it took a while, and things were in the positive. And let's see how it's done lately. This is a combination of the Q's and QQQ and SPY, and we can, how did it do during the recent downturn, which was in August? And we can see that in the SPY, for example, it wound up going short on the 19th and getting out on the 24th. That was the wild and wacky bottom day, right? And so it definitely reasonably survived the downward debacle. Okay. And what's interesting now, this test was taken off of Felipe's machine on June 16th. And so, today's date is 10/21. So this is effectively down here, we're using what we call blind data or virgin data, data that the software hadn't seen prior to or after it was developed. Okay, and so this is it's survived this debacle here. Let's see what the numbers were over the past 3 years. Well, let's see, 34%. Okay, is the CAR, but the other part that's really important is what was the max system drawdown, 10%. That's a bit less than what the S&P did. Oh, during that time period, let's take a look. No. Okay. And let's Sharpe ratio of 2.41, which is a decent number. And so, and the other thing we like to look at is the CAR max DD. And what that does is that combines the calculated annual return and the max drawdown, and it comes up with a positive number of 3.13. So what we're going to do now is try it again with just the last year and looking at just the S&P. And this will be really quick. Okay, so here's just the last year. And you can even see that right now, on this very day, it has a short position. Okay, and let's take a look and see what the numbers were. Okay, annual return about the same as the other one. That was the combination of the two. And exposure, that means about 23% of the time or 24% of the time. The money was actually working. A lot of time it was just sitting in the account, I guess in a bank account earning interest, or what little interest you get these days. And this is kind of neat over here. This is buy and hold S&P. And had somebody just bought and hold the S&P over this same time period, they would have had a net loss. Okay, and the worst case down draw would have been about 12.29%, where in this case, with the S&P only, the max drawdown would have been 3.28. So just for fun, let's see how this would have done with the longer time period in the NASDAQ. Now remember, this is using the new Andrews pitchfork indicator. And I can tell you that whatever is commonly used in the market or taught out there or by anyone else, this is totally different. It's a totally different and unique approach. Let's take a look. Okay, so this one did okay, and it's not in the market right now. Last time I did anything was it went long on 10-1 and et cetera, et cetera. Let's take a look and see how the numbers did. Annual return over the 3 years was 17.11. The buy and hold technique would have been 18.75, so that would have been a little bit better. Okay, but combined with the S&P, it would have done much better. And let's take a look at drawdown. Drawdown itself would have only been 7.79, where buy and hold would have been 13.34. And Sharpe ratio with this one here would have been 2.34. Okay, so that gives you a pretty good comparison. All right. So this is the new Andrews pitchfork indicator, something that only we have, and this is one of the things that we use to help us in determining what the signals are on these charts here. Now, it isn't 100%. We don't use the new Andrews pitchfork indicator to generate all of these numbers necessarily, but that's one of the inputs we use for this here. Okay, so I thank you for your time, and Ron Jane, you're signing off. Say, see you next time.